My husband and I are both considered high earners, and one of our favorite ways to spend money is on conveniences. So think things that save you time or energy. We do have some cushion that we can play with for convenience spending. Now, if that's not you, please don't take this as like bragging or anything like that. This is more for those that are in a place where they can spend on conveniences. I want you to understand how you might better allocate your money towards that. Or if you're not in a place where you can afford this yet, this is something to think about as you're able to grow your income or cut other costs so that you can fit these into your life. So one of the first things that we've done is invest in a Kroger Boost membership. It's not a crazy price. It's $59 for the entire year. Now here's the reason why it's awesome. They do free grocery delivery on orders over $35. So rather than batching my groceries kind of once a weekend or something like that, I will build up a grocery list throughout the week. When that order hits over $35, or if I feel like I've kind of know what I'm cooking enough throughout the week to build up a big order, I place the order for the following day and I get it free delivered, typically first thing in the morning. So before my daughter gets up in the morning, I get our groceries from our front door that have been delivered while I was probably still asleep. I can put everything away. Now, obviously, that's not a big expense. That's $5 a month. The reason why you should consider this if you have Kroger in your area is that it will save you trips to the grocery store pretty consistently. I just keep my grocery list in that app. It saves me the mental energy of kind of transferring things from one place to the other, going to the store. I just can wake up and my shopping is done. It's awesome. If anything, it's actually saved me money on groceries. So we typically spend, on an average month, I would say like between $600 to $800 on groceries. And I definitely notice that when I am in the grocery store, I impulse buy more things. Whereas if you're ordering grocery delivery, there's really no distraction. So another one that I try to knock out early in the morning, if I can, is wash and fold laundry. So I've talked about wash and fold laundry in a different video of mine all about using services to save you time. I'll link it up here in the top right corner of the video if you're interested. But our dry cleaner that we really like also does $1 a pound wash and fold laundry, which is such a great deal, and I love using them for it. But I've also recently discovered a service that I guess is kind of like Uber, where anyone can kind of sign up to be a provider, but people will come pick up laundry from your front door, wash and fold it, and deliver it nicely back to your house. And it'll be nicely folded in bags. So if it's, for example, right now in Atlanta, pollen season, your clothes aren't going to get all gross sitting outside. And then you just bring them in and put them away. It is so nice. And they are also $1 a pound. Unless you do same day. I think if you do same day, it's $2 a pound. But I'll be honest, y'all, the guy that I typically use, because I tend to have it set to like prefer the person I've used in the past, he typically turns my stuff around same day anyway. So I just tip him well. Laundry is one of our biggest frustrations in our house. And so I've realized that the $20 that I would spend on kind of like a large basket of laundry to just get it washed and folded by someone on Poplin is worth it. It's really worth it for me. To give you a sense of what that cost actually looks like, because I know I said $1 a pound, our large laundry baskets, like our large vertical ones, run about 20 pounds when it comes to like normal clothes. So like jeans, leggings, t-shirts, like all that good stuff. So I use it for my husband's and my laundry. I actually don't fold my daughter's laundry anymore. I talk about it in my parenting norms that I ignore video, which I'll also link up here on the right. But her dresser just gets crazy anyway. I've just given up on folding it for this small season of life. But having my clothes folded makes me happy and gives me like a sense of peace, and I know that it's done. And so I'm happy to pay the money for it. So my husband and I are both kind of, I wouldn't say super late sleepers, but we're not early risers either. Now, luckily my toddler's also on a slightly later schedule. While that is awesome, sometimes if she's sleeping late and we have to get her up, we don't all get to eat breakfast calmly the way that we would prefer. So on days like that, I will often make a stop at Dunkin' Donuts. Now, I don't get donuts. That much sugar in the morning makes me feel really sick, but I love a small iced coffee with cream, and there are a couple breakfast sandwiches that I really like. I actually have 3 locations near me. I won't really use one because they're slow. The other 2, They are super fast. One of them embarrassingly knows who I am. They know that I've been kind of a regular for like a year. We have had weeks where I would say we've gone 2 to 3 times in a week, and that's a lot. Typically, I feel like it's like once every other week. When it's just me, because I get a coffee, I would say it's around $10 to go. And when my husband orders something as well, it runs us about 15. I will say I do try to be smart about Dunkin'. I always pre-order on the app, and I get a lot of rewards points. While I'm not like rolling in free sandwiches, I do certainly get one every now and then, and it does help. All right, so if you are a channel regular, you know that this is my favorite way to spend money. I love having a house cleaner. It is such a luxury. I talk about this in the beginning of my house cleaner video, which by the way is the most watched video on my channel. Please check it out if you haven't already. I'll link it up here on the right. But when I was first out of school and in corporate jobs, whenever there was a women's channel, the #1 piece of advice that they would give is to hire a house cleaner, because it lets you have so much more balance in your day-to-day life, because you're not worried about like cleaning your floors or dusting or, you know, vacuuming all of your furniture most of the time. Like if it gets bad, sure, but like otherwise you can just kind of spend that time enjoying the time with your kid, and it's awesome. My house cleaner comes once every 3 weeks. We could probably stretch that to a month if we didn't have long hair cats, but if anything, I almost want her to come slightly more often, because we feel it that last like couple of days before she gets here, unless again we're doing more vacuuming. But she tidies up a bit, and she kind of does all of the deep cleaning for us. So all we have to do is a little bit of maintenance cleaning, especially like in the kitchen. If there's a big mess, we'll clean it all up. Now our house cleaner runs us $170 per visit, and again, that's once every 3 weeks. Our house, for reference, is like a little over 3,500 square feet. A good way to figure out a reasonable price for house cleaning in your area is probably to post in a local Facebook group about it. You can even get cleaner recommendations in those type of groups, which is really helpful. So we haven't been using them as much lately, but one thing that's been really helpful for us is our robot vacuum cleaners. We actually have 2 of them. I bought a kind of post-Christmas present to myself of 2 Roborock vacuums. We have an S5 Max, which has the capability of mopping, which I don't use that often, but it is nice, especially if you've been like frying stuff in the kitchen. It can kind of quickly like wipe the floor for you. And then we also have an S4 Max that is more of just like your standard vacuum. They tell you how to maintain them, all that good stuff. They're good vacuums. I would recommend the S5 Max over the S4 Max. It gets caught in less stuff. They were one-time purchases. They were not recurring purchases. But I still feel like it's important to call them out, because it's a one-time investment that, especially with pets, can kind of pay dividends, because they really do save you time and effort, especially if you're not paying for a house cleaner. Hello. Can we not? This is my raccoon cat who, it's approaching his snack time, which means he might start screaming at me soon. So to give you an idea of what we paid, the S5 Max, so again, that's the one that mops, was $500, and the S4 Max was $380. I have Amazon links for them in the description box below. Both seem to be like out of stock or something, or they've changed the listings. I don't know, but I just am posting the exact ones that I have in case you want to try to find them elsewhere. Both of them, you just have to be very mindful of pet messes. So our cats barf like every day. That's part of why we just turned them off the last couple of months, because we just had too many barf messes that we weren't getting to right away. But when you have your house properly mapped and stuff kind of picked up off the floor so that they can run, they save you so much time and effort. And again, they keep the hair level down so far in our house compared to what it normally is, even with the house cleaner. So my husband and I both work from home, and when you work from home in a corporate job, I'll tell you what happens often. You get booked through lunch, and you barely have time to eat. And so typically we try to keep the fridge stocked with food, because it's easy enough to kind of heat something up between calls. But sometimes that's just not possible. So if I have, let's say, a free half hour to an hour, and my husband I know is like slammed throughout the day, what I'll do is I'll call in a cheap takeout order from one of the places near us. I already know the places we both like. I know our orders at those places, and I know I can get us a lunch, maybe also a bonus meal or 2, depending on where we're ordering from, for like between $20 and $30 total. And again, it just takes the burden off kind of panicking to cook something. Now that's when I'm home. I actually have to go into the office twice a week. We do have a good cafeteria, and when I'm there, I just try to get something that is decently healthy. And often that stuff runs anywhere between like $8 and $12. And sometimes I'll grab a coffee or something at work. Typically, if I'm grabbing coffee, it's so that I can have a meeting away from my normal floor at work. Like if I want to have a more private conversation, or if it's more of like a mentoring conversation as opposed to like a normal one-on-one, we'll go downstairs to have some coffee instead. And I think that that's really nice. If it's just me, that typically runs like, $4 or $5. And a lot of times I'll treat the other person to coffee and it'll be more like 10. Now, in terms of exercise, there's a few things that I try to do. So when I'm in the office, there's actually a free yoga class on Tuesdays that I have fought tooth and nail to be able to go to. I actually had to move some recurring lunchtime meetings to be able to go. All right, now this one I'm not as consistent about as I would like, but I do have a treadmill desk set up in my office in our house. So I work from home 3 days a week, and I put a standing desk over kind of it's not a walking pad because you can run on it. It's just not a treadmill that I would recommend doing a ton of running on. It's just not as sturdy as I would prefer. But it is really great for if I'm like on meetings where I'm not talking a whole lot, or, just having kind of a heads down day. I can walk like about 2 miles an hour and be cranking some stuff out. That whole treadmill desk setup actually wasn't super expensive or super fancy, at least in my opinion. So the treadmill itself was $300. The standing desk that I got was almost $200. The only reason why it was that expensive, because there are a lot of options that are pretty high, is I did want something that went up kind of as high as possible, because the treadmill adds like, call it 6 inches. To get to like a normal standing height for like typing, I was gonna have to stack something on top of it anyway, and I didn't want to have to do such a crazy setup. So what I do is I actually have the standing desk, and then I have a memory box that I got from like Joann Fabric or Michaels or something underneath my laptop, and that kind of gets it to the right height. We actually used to have step challenges on my previous team, and if I was really, really trying, I could crank out like 25,000 steps in a work day. I had to like really be trying though. If I am making a good effort, it's very easy to get like 10,000 steps in. I will say though, if you do that, invest in some decent headphones. I did not get fancy headphones by any means. I have like a $25 pair from Amazon that I'll link in the description that are just Bluetooth headphones. And then like really, people on the other end have said they can't hear at all that I'm on the treadmill unless I'm like weirdly out of breath because I have it up too high of a speed when I'm talking. And if I don't have headphones on, people have told me it just kind of sounds like there's a loud fan on. But again, I would just always prefer to have the headphones on to minimize disruption. The other 2 ways that I spend on fitness are I pay $89 a month for an Orange Theory membership. That membership allows me to do 8 classes in a month. I typically do about 2 classes a week, so that works out quite well for me. They are very intense. They track your progress over time in an app, so you know how many calories you've burned, how many miles you've ran, all of that good stuff. I love the data because I am a nerd about it. And I also like being able to see in the app, like, did I use up all of my classes? So it's very motivating for me personally. I typically do those classes on like a Friday evening and a Sunday morning, but sometimes I can sneak one in during the week if I, have missed a class somewhere. The other like gym related thing that I pay for, I have a year-long membership to the Sweat app, which is Kayla Etsinas' app. If you've never heard of it, I've kind of like gone in and out of that program quite a bit over the years. I was on a kick with it in the fall, which is why I did the year. But she has a really good pregnancy program, and if you follow my videos, we're doing IVF, so I'm hoping that I'll be pregnant sometime in the next year. And that's a good way to get in a workout at home. But again, I've been very consistent with Orange Theory lately and with the yoga in the office. And so making sure that I get like those 3 days a week has been a good balance for me. If I want to add in more days, what I'll probably do is add in one of the Sweat app workouts instead of upping my Orange Theory membership, just because it's a little easier for me to fit those in at home, especially if we start to get into like work travel or anything else that's going on. And that app membership is $120 a year, so it works out to be $10 a month. If you do month to month, it's like $20 a month. That's why I went ahead and did the year, even though I don't think I've used it enough this go around. And I'll also just note, because I've talked mostly about my spending here, even though it's like my spending that I do for our family. But my husband also goes to the gym quite a bit. He actually goes 5 days a week very consistently. He spends about $30 a month on a membership, but he also has a very regimented schedule, and all he needs is like certain free weights and stuff. Like he doesn't like classes, whereas I prefer to have someone kind of yelling at me. I think it goes back to my high school sports days, especially my swimming days. I like to have someone tell me what to do. I like having the built-in variety, whereas he doesn't need that. Again, different people, different needs. Think about yours as you're trying to sort that out. But I think either way, having some sort of like push for you to be consistent about your fitness has made a big difference for us. So another way that we convenience spend is on food. So I know I mentioned this when I talked about lunch, but we also do order our fair share of takeout. We've been pretty consistent for a few years now of spending, at least I spend, around $800 a month on like restaurants of some kind or takeout of some kind. My husband also spends money. I don't track his. So there might be some costs that like fluctuate that I'm not accounting for because of his. But again, just looking at my accounts. So I have 3 places in particular that we order from quite a bit. And I'll give you some examples of those numbers. So first of all, I'll note that all 3 of these places, the reason why we are regulars there is because our daughter also likes the food, which is very rare. She's very picky. So the fact that she always eats this food is like the holy grail for us. But anyway, so one of these places is a Mexican spot. Their big thing is like grilled chicken, and my husband will just eat the chicken straight. I like turn it into little tacos. They've got like such good salsa and stuff, and they've got rice that we like and all this stuff. It's great. It serves us for about 1 meal for the whole family, and then like a second meal for me and maybe our daughter. And that runs us probably between $40 and $50 with tip. That's one that we always have to go pick up. It's not like a delivery. Another one is our favorite pizza spot. It is not the cheapest pizza spot. Like it's not Domino's. We do love Domino's, but but this is a higher end like Neapolitan pizza place. We get a big pizza, and these days often like a large salad. We really like their tiramisu and their cannolis, so often we get dessert too. Typically, it runs us about $40 if we do pick up. That typically is 1 meal for us. Sometimes we'll get like an extra like slice or 2 that ends up in the fridge the next day. And then our last regular place is a Thai spot where we actually get 4 entrees, and that runs us $70. And again, our daughter has a dish that she really likes from there that's pretty healthy. It's a Hainanese chicken dish. I subscribe to the philosophy of if I am getting food delivered or if I'm making the effort to pick up food, I really do like to get multiple meals out of it if possible. And I'm willing to pay a little bit more for the convenience so that I don't have to like make another meal again the next day if I don't have to. My other cat has decided he wanted to join me for the last couple of minutes of this, so don't mind any purrs. We have a litter robot. It's a very fancy automatic litter box that does a really good job cleaning. The way that it works is when the cat goes in the litter box and uses it, it sets a timer, and then after a certain amount of time, it will go through and kind of self-clean. Before we had that, we had kind of the manual version of an automatic litter box. I don't know how else to describe it. Instead of like manually scooping, you basically just turn the litter box over most of the way, give it a whack on the bottom, and all of the like clumps of stuff would land in a certain little drawer, and it made it really easy to clean. That was really great for us because we cleaned the litter boxes literally every day because we have 2 cats. So it went from being a daily chore that, you know, took some time to like manually scoop to having those litter boxes that trimmed it down a lot in terms of time for how long it took for us to clean them. And now the litter robot just does it for us. We just have to change the bag every certain number of days. It tells us on an app when we need to change the bag. So it's very easy. Litter robots are expensive. I was just Googling it because again, we didn't purchase ours outright. It looks like now they sell for like $700. I don't know if they were that high when we got ours, but I'm pretty sure it was at least $500. It was like my husband's big ticket Christmas item that he was so excited about. But again, it's been awesome. I would highly recommend it. There are plenty of automated litter boxes that are less money, but this one in particular has worked really well. And again, having the app is really nice. So I want to talk for a second about what we do with this saved time, right? So I would say, especially with things like meals, we are spending a lot of that time in the early evening with our daughter trying to just play, get as much time with her as possible, try to take her to a park if we can, or in the backyard, or just play with her kind of in the house and hang out. Now, I do love to cook, so again, having those groceries just like always at the ready and me not having to run out to go get them makes it really easy for us to bake muffins on a Saturday morning because I know I'll have the supplies, and my daughter loves to bake with me, so like that part's really nice. Making sure that we have multiple options for exercise is really convenient because it makes sure that we actually get that exercise in on a regular basis. So all of these little things that we're doing add up to a lot of time savings for us, and again, just allowing us to allocate our time in a better way than we could otherwise. Now, one thing I want to clarify is that a lot of the things I've talked about in this video are real luxuries that not everyone can afford. But I'll be honest, they've really made my day-to-day life better. And I would much rather have my fancy robot litter box than, you know, a designer purse. I'm not knocking anyone that loves designer bags, because like when you have a passion for something, you have a passion for something. I think it's great if you do. I just love something that takes away a chore that I have to do. It brings me so much joy to just know that I don't have to get off the couch a little bit earlier before bedtime to go clean the litter box. I don't have to plan to spend a couple hours of my Saturday cleaning my house because I know that my house cleaner's coming the next week. It's little things that really make everyday life a lot better. If you are interested in learning more about how we've spent money on services, I'll link those videos that I mentioned earlier in the description box down below. My hair got really crazy there, sorry. I would encourage you, if you have a lot of disposable income and you don't spend on conveniences, to at least consider it, even if it means having to spend less in a different area in order to spend more on conveniences, because truly I think you'll see your world open up. Money can't buy happiness, but I do think that money can buy time. And I think time with your loved ones and time doing the things that you love is probably the closest thing to buying happiness. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.